now, just so I don't forget to do that. And then we'll do it one more minute and let everybody jump in here. And then I will start sharing the screen and we will get going. What's up, Terry? Welcome. I was early 20s when I started, Carlos. Yeah, insurance mostly covers fire. The presentation is about 30-35 minutes. I've done it twice today just to test the time length, but they're both between 30 and 35 minutes, so I think it should stay in that time frame. Yes, you can eat while watching this webinar. You guys are all muted and will not be a problem. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. I will be sharing my screen and closing you guys out. So how will we be able to see the recording? I'll email the recordings to everybody afterwards. Yeah, I'll need to upload it to YouTube and I'll post it. And just hold any questions, write them down, or you can post them here and then I'll review them at the end. And then we'll go through as many questions as we can during that time. So let's just jump into it. Okay, share screen. Cool, guys. Welcome to the Section 8 Secrets Intro webinar question and answer. My name is Tom Cruise. Let's go ahead. This webinar is going to be super straightforward. It's not going to be 30 minutes of fluff and hyping you up. You guys already understand about the passive income aspect of Section 8 and the benefits that it's going to have. We'll go over that as well. And let's get into it. First of all, who am I and why should you listen to me? My name's Tom Cruise. I've been investing in Section 8 for the last 7 years. I've acquired hundreds of Section 8 rentals and other subsidies. I deal with Salvation Army, state, local, and federal guaranteed rental income programs, generating over $400,000 a month in gross rental income. I've directly trained at least 10 full-time property managers between in-house property managers and other Section 8 managers that we've worked with at other companies. I've created a playbook on this internally that we use, and a lot of this, it's going to be in the course and also parts of this in this webinar you guys will have. I've negotiated more than $30 million in debt financing between credit unions, community banks, large institutional investors such as Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I've also done a lot of creative financing. So I've done a lot of seller financing, subject to deals, a lot of other people's money as far as structuring partner and equity deals. I've done a little bit of syndication and mostly single family, very little multifamily. And we'll get into kind of how I deal with that. I teach real estate to more than 800,000 people on TikTok pretty consistently, over 25,000 followers on Instagram. I really enjoy real estate. It's my passion. It's not just a fun way of making money. It's something that I actively enjoy doing. So let's go ahead and we'll get started right with the course and just the information on this before we get into the webinar. Got a lot of questions through email before this as far as how this works. The course is a $5,000 investment. This is a 12-month coaching that's included along with 7 modules for the video course. You're going to learn every aspect of Section 8 investing. This is the only Section 8 course that's available out right now. As far as being able to learn how to scale, identifying the best markets in the country, gold mine opportunities, how to finance the properties, being able to choose the best financial products in order to get these properties with low down payments, or if you have limited funds or limited credit, being able to get into that. Just how to get started with Section 8, being able to sign up, getting direct deposits configured, negotiating rents with the housing authority, passing inspections is a huge part of Section 8 and where it trips most people up. There's a lot of things you just don't know, what you don't know with Section 8. So we discuss that a lot in the course. We also discover how to screen tenants. We go over evictions, credit, background, everything you would need in order to be able to learn how to do that. And then finally, how to scale. I mean, I went from 0 units to over 350 Section 8 units in less than 8 years. And then I have another 50 or 60 of them that are non-Section 8. So I've dealt with a gamut of different types of tenants, different types of programs, and I go over that in the course. As part of that, you'll also get immediate access to 12 months of private group coaching. meaning you can ask me unlimited questions through our group coaching app, which we use Telegram. I think there's only like 40 or 50 people in there right now, so it's still very limited. And we will be putting a cap on that, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. But for now, we're still open. It is still $5,000 for everything. There's no upsells. There's no other crap when you get in there. It's what you see is what you get. And then we'll do a in-webinar offer right now. This is gonna be limited to the first 20 attendees, just because, like I said, it's one-on-one coaching. For anyone that signs up for the course at this link, they will get a free 2-hour one-on-one Zoom FaceTime strategy session with me. This is going to be, you can either do this before or after the course, or whenever you want to take it. You can schedule with me at your convenience, but this is going to be this is only valid during this webinar. I never do free 2-hour giveaways. I normally charge $500 an hour for one-on-one calls. So this is essentially $1,000 discount, depending on how you want to look at that. And here is the link for the registration, which is section8formula.com/5K. I'll have this on a couple other screens as well, so you guys will be able to see that. Cash, you can just raise your hand at the end. We're not going to be taking any questions until then. So let's get right into it. What is Section 8? So a lot of people are not really sure what the name is. They just have heard it before. Section 8 is the federal government's program for federal housing. They essentially will back tenants and be able to provide housing to them. They pay the rent directly to the landlord, so it's not going to the tenant and then the tenant has to pay the landlord. We get the direct deposits on the first of the month, and that is guaranteed regardless of recessions, pandemics, depressions. They are earmarked funds that they will pay out. We even get paid during government shutdowns, which a lot of people don't know. They will pay up to 100% of your tenant's rent each month and direct deposit that into your account. Most of the time, I would say it's closer to 90%. The tenant sometimes does have a portion that they need to pay, but for now, 100% is possible, especially if they're on disability or if they have multiple dependents, and we'll get into that. What are the benefits of Section 8 and why should you rent to their program? 4 big things: stability. Anyone that's invested in anything before, real estate wise, knows that the hardest part of it is just collecting the rent, even during bull markets, bear markets. It doesn't matter what the situation is, getting the rent paid on the beginning of the month is always the hardest. Section 8 removes that obstacle altogether. Scalability, being able to get loans is the fastest way that you can continue to grow. And Section 8, lenders love Section 8 properties. They know that that payment is guaranteed. They know that you're going to make that payment every month. So the probability of them, especially on the commercial side, giving you a loan is also higher, which allows you to accumulate rental units faster. And it also allows you to sell them a whole lot easier. Any buyer that sees that you have 10 or 15 or 20 guaranteed rental income units, they're going to be a lot less hesitant to purchase that. It also appreciates faster. It's profitable. We go into deep detail about how to manage the units when you're buying multiple of them, and also being able to avoid unnecessary expenses, make sure you're running as lean as possible. And then also lifestyle. There's no better asset or program out there, especially in real estate, that allows you to have a property that's paid for by the federal government, that also appreciates in value, and that you get depreciation and a bunch of other taxable benefits. We'll go into more detail about that shortly. How and why did I get involved with Section 8? This was a complete fluke. This was not some grand master plan that I had, that I decided to buy hundreds of units 8 years ago, and all of a sudden had this completely recession-proof hedged portfolio. It was an accident. I was buying condos at the time. I was buying single-family properties at the time, and I wanted to try a much lower-end asset class, in a Class D neighborhood, meaning a lower-end neighborhood, very transitional. There was some crime there. And the house was $55,000. I figured the risk was pretty low. Let me go ahead and try it. The owner was getting $1,300 a month. He was elderly. He wanted to get out and didn't want to deal with it anymore. So he sold it to me for 55 grand. I closed on the property, and the following day, he promptly told me that it was a Section 8 unit and I needed to switch over the direct deposit information into my name. Completely blindsided me, had no idea what that meant or what was involved. I just knew that, oh, Section 8, that's horrible. It's gonna be bad tenants, and the usual misconceptions that people have about the program. So I went through the process, switched everything over to my name. The first month I got that $1,300 deposit. They were, I believe, paying the full amount. at that time for this tenant. And from that point on, I was hooked. I didn't have to talk to this tenant. They had no issues. They had just passed inspection, so everything was turnkey. It was just going really smoothly. So at that point, everything that I was doing moving forward was going to be Section 8. And we'll get as far as the next steps and how I was able to grow from that point. So let me also see, I know that we have kind of sorry, just making sure that I wasn't muted or anything. I'm famous for that. Okay, let's see. How do we get started with Section 8? Anyone can apply to be a Section 8 landlord. There's three main things you need to know. One, you must identify a Section 8 compliant property. Also, by the way, guys, S8 is going to be abbreviated for Section 8 because I mentioned that like 100 times in this presentation. So when you see S8, that's what that means. You don't want to buy a property that has a ton of issues. You don't want to have issues with inspections. We go over in detail inspection checklists and everything you need to know in the course. It's just a ton of content for in here, so I didn't include that. We have checklists. We have walkthrough notes on what to look for: roof, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, everything that they would fail you for, minor things. Second, you need to find line up financing. After you identify that property in the market that you want to buy in, residential, commercial, creative types of financing, that's something that you obviously need to do in order to close on it. And third, you must advertise and let the prospective tenants know that you accept Section 8. Section 8 is the best marketing engine you will ever run into. After you buy your property, all you have to do is email Section 8 that you close on a new property. They're going to ask for that address, and then you're going to have a flood of tenants reaching out to you. And all you have to do is screen them, and we'll get into screening as well. We actually have a whole module of that in the course. More common questions. I live in NYC, SF, LA, insert your expensive city. What market should I look at? The most important things to look at is when you're looking at out of market are going to be the average home prices. You don't want to even consider a market in that area until you can go to realtor.com, which is my favorite, or Zillow, and look at the prices. If the prices there all look just completely in a bubble, I mean, you look at any property in San Francisco, I'm sure it's all over $1 million. It doesn't matter what Section 8 is paying. You will never make as much rent as you need to in order to cash flow in San Francisco. It's just impossible. And even with rent control, it's still not going to be a pretty cash flow situation. Fair market rents. The US government sets what's considered fair market rent in every zip code, and Section 8 abides by that loosely. They have waivers depending on bedrooms and bathroom counts, and sometimes even square footage. For the most part, they're mostly looking at bedroom count. They also have different ways of formulating that with tenants. Every tenant has a different allowed amount that they get for their Section 8 voucher. It used to be back in the day, when I say back in the day, I mean 5-6 years ago. I'm only 33. But a while back, they would give you, a tenant would come up to you. Let's say you're renting a property for $1,000. A tenant would come up to you and say, hey, I want to rent your property. And then I would say, hey, how much is your voucher for? And they would say, it's $1,300 is how much the government will pay. And then I'd be like, cool, the rent's $1,300. And they're like, cool, they give me the voucher, we both sign it. And all of a sudden now they're paying $300 more than what the market rent was. So they've gotten smart to that, and they get away from that now. So what they do is they put the bedroom count on there. So you have to take that voucher, make sure that it matches the amount of bedrooms that you have in your house. And then from that point on, you can then negotiate directly with Section 8. They don't come with a predetermined amount. So this is that value. We discussed that, how to calculate that. There's several different formulas, and it's based on several different factors. Average condition of the properties in the zip code. Make sure that you're not buying, dilapidated houses. I'm not buying any tear downs, any full gut jobs. That's not for me. I'm looking at properties that can be turned quickly. If you guys watched any of my TikToks, I'm not into the BRRRR strategy. So I'm very much about doing what's required by the state for inspection and then getting it rented quickly. And then as far as the markets to look at, Midwest, Southeast, really any low state income tax, good landlord law states are going to generally also have good properties that are going to work for you. Can you buy properties out of state? How do you manage remotely? Yeah, you can buy properties anywhere in the United States. I would recommend, as far as management, if you have 1 to 10 units, definitely use a property management company. After your 10th unit, you should be able to afford your own full-time property manager, which will allow you to have a lot more flexibility with your policies. For example, I've used property management companies that would only evict on the 15th day. for us internally, that doesn't work for us. We evict on the 6th day, especially if they've already had multiple warnings. With tenants, any type of tenants, Section 8 or otherwise, you have to make sure it's consistent and it's assertive. Otherwise, they just take advantage of it, and every month they become late. So certain things like that, we are also making sure that those policies are consistent internally. So after 10 units, you should be able to afford to have your own property manager. Most states in the US, you can get away with 40 to 50,000 per year. So it doesn't take a ton of cash flow before you break even. What houses are optimal for Section 8? Again, a few things here. Location, I'm looking at population, crime, average growth. I'm looking at the different types of retail that are in that area. I'm not buying in war zones or areas that are, in really rough shape, a lot of drug trafficking, a lot of crime. We go over individual crimes in the course. We look over population and what trends to look for in order to kind of jump on a market that's increasing. Property size, again, I'm not buying anything that's too big. Anything that's large, when the tenant moves out, you're just spending a ton of money being able to turn that unit over. Painting, floor, appliances, all that just is the most expensive part of any tenancy. So I always try to reduce the overall size of the unit. Condition, again, as I mentioned before, it mostly just cosmetic issues that can be resolved quickly in order to get the unit online within 30 days after closing. You have a full-time job. How much does Section 8 investing take? How much time does Section 8 investing take? It's completely possible to invest in Section 8 or really any other affordable housing investment strategy with a full-time job. When I started, I was buying condos, and I still had a marketing hustle. I was still doing pay-per-click marketing and SEO and web design. So after I was done with that during the day, I would focus and allocate my time between either finding properties, making offers, really any type of income producing activity, as far as finding off-market properties, dealing with sellers, all of that I would do on the weekends and after I was done with my full-time marketing gig. And what I would do is I would take the income from a marketing gig, take any income from wholesale deals, use that for down payments, or if I found a seller finance deal, I would go ahead and offer as little of a down payment as I could. Sometimes I could get them, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 down, and they would sell me the house if they had been sitting on the house long enough. So we'll discuss a little bit more about that financing later. I would say minimum of 5 hours per week, ideally 10 hours, including weekends. If you have to put a time frame on it, it'll just give you enough time to really research and make sure you like the area before you invest in it. What are the downsides to Section 8? I wouldn't say there's any serious downsides. It's the same thing as really any other type of rentals, except the payments are guaranteed. Tenants stay a lot longer. We have tenants that stay with us for 7, 8, 9 years. I have some original tenants from when I got started in this, still in the property, super happy. They take care of the property. They get free rent. I get guaranteed income, and I know the unit's taken care of. So really, I would say the only thing is if you're not taking care of the property, if you're neglecting the property, if you are just collecting rents and just not treating it like a real business, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have Section 8 down your throat. You're going to have the tenant down your throat. Section 8 is going to stop paying you. And it's not a good situation. And I didn't finish that sentence there, but yeah, they will cease the payments if you don't fix the issues that they address. How much money do I need to get into Section 8? Oh, the most common question that I get every single day, at least 12 times. I really say $10,000 in most markets. You can find $60,000, $70,000 properties with a good seller finance deal. If you structure it correctly, you can get away with lower down payments. Again, you can also try to find smaller lenders that will deal with $50,000 minimum loans, which will allow you to get into a cheaper property. It also allows you to it gives you some cash to be left over. If you have $1,000 or $2,000 to do carpet and paint, it's going to leave you relatively strapped. But that's literally the only $10,000 you have. But you technically could get into that property and start collecting, security deposit, any incentives that Section 8 may give along with that first month's payment. So it really just depends on where you're buying and what your budget is. But $10,000, I would say, would be the bare minimum if you're looking to get into a single family house. What type of credit do you need to buy properties? My strategy really primarily focuses on creative financing, meaning seller financing is my go-to strategy. Guys, I have almost 400 units and I've been doing this for 8, 9 years. I promise you I didn't put 20% down on all 400 units. I would have had to have millions of dollars in cash before I ever had that. And at that point, I would have never been able to grow that. So a lot of my deals centered on seller financing, meaning I would reach out to sellers that were selling their $70,000 house and say, hey, look, it's been on the market for 6 months. You haven't sold it. I can give you $5,000 down. You know, we can set up some terms on it and I can get it paid off in X amount of time. We go into a lot more detail on that in the course, how I structure those deals to make sure they definitely, you know, will accept it, how to come up with interest rates, how to come up with amortization schedules, how to come up with timeframes. It all depends on the person and kind of what they're looking for. If you decide to go for the traditional route, credit unions, Wells Fargo, big banks, most of them are going to, I would say, 620, 650 or better credit score to get a decent rate. Some of them could be even a little bit lower. There are FHA loans and other type of loans that you might have to live there or have the intent to live there for X amount of time. That's really just going to depend on the institution and the product that you do. If you do FHA, if you do VA, if you do USDA, these are all different types of loan products that require you to live there for normally 12 months. So you could get like a quadplex, you know, or a triplex, live in one and Section 8 the other 3 units, depending on, you know, what your situation is. But there's always different creative ways of getting into properties. Can any house be offered to the Section 8 program? Definitely. So any house that's compliant with Section 8, should I say. So the property must be in compliance, meaning that it has to have a certain amount of bedrooms. It has to have a certain amount of bathrooms. It has to be enclosed. There's a bunch of different nuances and lists that we'll discuss as well in the course and in the coaching on what to look for. It's really extensive. It would take up 3 or 4 slides here as far as what they look for. For example, I had a coaching call with a student and he had bought a studio apartment in a kind of a rougher part of town, and come to find out that Section 8 is not going to rent to him because there's no bedroom. It's just an open floor plan and Section 8 doesn't allow that in that municipality. So now he's stuck with a unit that he can't really rent out. And same thing, I've had other students buy 1,900 square foot 2 bedrooms and come to find out that Section 8 doesn't care about square footage. They care about number of bedrooms for the most part. So you have a 2 bedroom that's that big and that tenant moves out, you're now paying thousands of dollars on turning it over. 1,900 square feet of flooring and paint and trim and holes in the walls or any damage, it's way more expensive than if you had just bought a 2 bedroom for 800 square feet. You would have gotten the same amount of rent. There's too many criteria in here, so we'll keep moving. How do I accept payments from tenants? If you guys caught this story time on TikTok, normally it's direct deposit. Section 8 will do an ACH deposit directly into your bank account from the HAP agreement that you guys come up with. So if the rent's $1,300 and Section 8 pays $1,200, that's how much you're going to receive. I've had tenants in the past, you know, they'll reach out to me and say, hey, look, I had my stimulus or had my unemployment or whatever it is that came in. Can I pay you in cash? Depending on the tenant, I'll take it just because I know that they're either don't have a bank account or their credit's not good, so they didn't have a bank account. So they only dealt in cash. This segment that you're going to deal with on lower income, a lot of people in this segment do not trust banks. This is also a very common thing. So cash or money orders or any instrument that's outside of a personal check or a wire is somewhat common. So if it's 80, 90, $100, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't really recommend accepting the prepaid of rent. I accepted $9,000 in prepaid rent from a tenant, and I posted that on TikTok because it was pretty funny. And I wouldn't recommend doing that. I only did it because I knew them for years. They were really good tenants and they just happened to come upon a bunch of cash. But yeah, stick to credit cards and debit cards. A lot of them will have prepaid debit cards. You can have them send it through PayPal, but it's really going to be whatever is the best method for them and that you also are okay accepting. All right. Do I need an LLC to start buying Section 8 houses? So no, you don't need an LLC to buy. I mean, in fact, a lot of lenders, especially like credit unions and small community banks, they're going to require that you buy them in your personal name. I recommend the day that you close on that property, you quickly transfer it into your LLC. That way you're just reducing your risk. If you put a tenant into a property that's under your name and there's an accident or something that insurance isn't covering, you're going to be on the hook. A lot of people are concerned about with the due clause, meaning if you transfer it from your personal name to an LLC, Can the bank call the note due? Yes, they can. They can require you to pay the whole amount on that house. I've done this probably 25 times. No bank has ever cared. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not an attorney. But as long as you continue making that monthly payment on that property and they continue getting their interest, I have found that banks do not give a flying about what name the property is under. If I have had a bank question it, and had they pushed it, I simply would have moved it back from the LLC into my personal name, but they never really pressed the topic. So something to keep in mind. The Section 8 pay more rent than regular tenants? Yes, they do. I am currently investing in over 5 municipalities between North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Ohio, and we are consistently seeing higher rents with Section 8 than private tenants. And it's because they have to. Otherwise, the Section 8 tenants just wouldn't find any landlords that would accept Section 8. So if you have a private tenant, with $1,000 a month rental, and you have, on the other hand, a Section 8 tenant, and they can only charge $1,000 as well, some landlords are just going to not deal with inspections and not deal with, even with guaranteed income, they would rather roll the dice with a private tenant. So Section 8 has to incentivize that. Like I said, we just placed a $1,500 a month tenant into a 3-bedroom. The market rent is usually $1,300 in that property. Just like what I mentioned earlier on when we bought that $55,000 unit, it really varies based on if there's any dependents, if they have kids, if they're on disability, if they have a full-time or part-time job, how much income they have. Everybody on Section 8 is under the federal poverty line for the most part. So that's something to keep in mind. So it just depends on where they are on that line with how much Section 8 is going to pay. But overall, they definitely pay, I would say, at least 10% higher than market rent tenants. Another reason that we love Section 8. How long does it take to find a tenant? Out of the hundreds of Section 8 units that I've worked with over the years, it's never taken me or my property management team longer than, I would say, 21 days, 3 weeks to place a new Section 8 tenant. Normally, our expected time from a vacancy being ready to rent, I would say it's going to be about 10 days, 10 to 12 days is how long I expect internally my team to have someone in that unit. And it's generally done within a week. The process is very quick. Section 8 tenant reaches out to us. They ask us if they can rent the unit. We have them go by and take a look at the property. We have them do an application. We verify they have a voucher. We submit the voucher. We negotiate with Section 8. At that point, Section 8 will either approve or deny our offer. We'll negotiate further. We have some other negotiation tricks that we talk about as well in the course that will make sure you get a higher rent amount. And from that point on, they schedule the inspection. Once you pass the inspection, then you can start accepting the payments and the tenant moves in. You'll get that $1,300 or $1,400, whatever the rent is, and then we'll also get the same amount in security deposit. So most move-ins, we're getting around $2,800 at $1,300 or $1,400 a month in rent. So that in itself creates a nice cushion right off the bat. I live in Canada. Can I invest in the Section 8 program in the US? Yes, you can. We have multiple Section 8 investors from Canada that have obtained loans in the US through either RBC or whatever different banks that they have applied to. And we have a couple of different resources in the course that will explain how to do this. The Housing Authority does not care where in the world you're located. As long as your property manager is local and they can meet with the inspector and the property is maintained, Section 8 does not care. So, and I've only tested this with Canadians. I know that there's some Europeans that are constantly reaching out, especially from England, that want to do this. That's something you're just gonna have to research and just find any US banks that will deal with foreign nationals. Both Mexico, England, Germany, France, and New Zealand are the ones that I remember offhand where people have asked me about it. And that's just something that I would recommend researching and checking in the US. How can I achieve financial freedom with Section 8? Here's the buzzword that everyone loves to throw around: financial freedom. Financial freedom is simply a function of receiving more passive income on a monthly basis than your expenses, which is pretty obvious. Section 8 accomplishes this in several different ways. You're able to do it because you're able to buy the property. As I mentioned earlier, banks love Section 8 units. It's a whole lot easier to get financing on Section 8 units than with any other type of asset. Tenants stay in there much longer, so you're getting this guaranteed rental income for years, literally years. It's when a tenant moves in, there's very few reasons as to why they move out. They either they die because either they're older and that's what happens, or they will move because they've gotten older and they want to be closer to family, or three, if you don't screen them correctly, they get incarcerated. Those are the three reasons why we lose tenants. And it's pretty few and far between. I would say less than 5 to 10% as far as turnover on an annual basis. We're losing very few people to churn. And then passive in nature. Section 8 tenants don't want to talk to you any more than you want to talk to them. It's very low maintenance. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to lose their voucher. They don't want the Section 8 counselor calling them about any issues that are being had. At the same time, you have that leverage. If they're breaking your lease or if they're unhappy with something and you don't agree, you always have Section 8 to help mediate that. So that's just one more thing that you can kind of lean on to fix the problem. Versus if that was a regular market rate tenant and you have a problem, you have to go to court. You're spending hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, on attorneys and court fees and just to decide a stupid dispute. Here, it's free. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to win that argument if it's legal. Are Section 8 inspections hard to pass? No, they're not. They're not hard to pass. They generally take about an hour. You got to remember the 3 S's: sanitation, safety, and structural. These are just 3 things that Section 8 inspectors are going to look for. They check utilities, trash, make sure everything is working. No missing shingles, no broken floors, no holes in the walls, all the obvious things. If you go in there and you would live in it, more than likely it's going to pass Section 8 inspection. They do nitpick on some stuff, as far as the inspectors, just things that you need to keep in mind. It's usually the same inspector every single time, depending on the size of your town. We have over 100,000 people in our town, and we have probably 2 inspectors. So it's going to vary on their personality, the time of day, what mood they're in. So we discuss that. We have a whole checklist for inspections that we use, and also that the U.S. government provides through the Section 8 program that you can bring along to those inspections to make sure you pass. Because if you fail an inspection, you're waiting 2 or 3 weeks for a new one, for a reinspection, especially if they're backed up. You could wait a month potentially. So there's a lot of things that are really important to note when you're going through these inspections, and we discuss that as well. What happens if a Section 8 tenant destroys my house? Everyone's very worried about Section 8 tenants destroying their house. At the end of the day, a Section 8 tenant is just a person, just like a person that would be renting, with a market rate tenant that's not Section 8. The only difference between Section 8 and regular market rent is the government's paying their rent. So if you don't screen both people, the regular tenant and the Section 8 tenant, they both have the same probability of wrecking your house. If they do, you simply notify Section 8, let them know your property was vandalized, they'll ask for proof, and then that tenant will promptly be banned for the rest of their life from any federal housing program. And that is no joke. They take their Social Security, their ID, and their picture, and they are blackballed. They can never get housing assistance again, ever. And I think sometimes, depending on their age of dependence, it goes for them as well. So it's something they don't want to do. You can also use security deposit to help offset the cost of the repairs. If the costs exceed the deposit, you can always file for small claim action if you want to try to sue them, or if you have insurance or a warranty claim, you can go ahead and file for that as well. But normally, if they can't afford to pay it, they're going to probably be judgment proof. So you really have to prevent this before it ever happens, and you do that through really hardcore screening. And in the course, we go through the minutia of it. I mean, I'm talking about individual crimes that I disqualify for. We talk about evictions and credit reports and certain things that we look for during that time. How have you helped new investors get started with Section 8? I've helped hundreds of, I would say, first-time investors between the course, coaching, and hourly calls. The main thing that I'm doing is helping identify properties. Most of the coaching calls that I'm jumping on for the existing course members, we're talking about how to find units. That's most where they struggle. I'll guide them on evaluating best banks, the best term sheets to make sure that they're not getting ripped off on fees, appraisals, legal closing costs. These are all things that you're going to get in the course and the coaching with me. So this is not simply, hey, pay $5,000 and you get a couple of videos and good luck. You're actually going to get access to me to look at deals that you're going to buy and make sure that they're going to be in good shape for you to profit off long term. I also help them set up their property management team. Make sure I help them interview property managers. get good questions that they can ask them, and then also negotiate those Section 8 rents to make sure that those are maximized. And finally, during these coaching calls that I provide the resources. We have a ton of documents and forms and things that we've created internally for our property management team that for the most part is universal. There's some laws that you might have to adjust the agreements to, but for the most part, they're pretty consistent. Let's keep it moving. How do I grow and scale my portfolio to dozens or hundreds of units? So I was able to get to 350 plus in less than 8 years by executing on the following steps. And it's really a formula that I've come up with as far as buying as many units as I could. So obviously that's way easier said than done. So starting off slow, like I mentioned earlier, buying it with seller financing. So I'm putting less money down, buying it with community and local banks. So I'm putting in the max 15% down, working with a lot of credit unions. They have a lot better terms, lower interest rates, better longer term financial products. So you can finance them longer and you have better cash flow. And then once I have several units, I'm able to create this track record. I can simply say, hey, look, I have 3 Section 8 properties that I've been managing for the last 5 years, 3 years, 2 years. From that point on, it's a lot easier for you to get a partner or anybody interested, either family member with money, angel investor, friend with money, business partner, versus you going to them and saying, hey, look, I want to try Section 8, give me $100,000 for me to go buy a property. It's a lot better if you already have existing track record that you can leverage. And then what I would do is I would say, hey, you need to contribute the cash, and I'll do the sweat equity. I'll manage the properties myself. I'll increase the rents. I'll make sure that the value of the portfolio is increasing every month, but I need you to put that down payment down. So you find a 100-unit portfolio for $5 million. You need $1 million down. Find a partner that is going to have that ability to do that, or you can start smaller. It really depends on your network. You really need to leverage your network. And if you don't have a network that has wealth, you need to start looking for it. LinkedIn, Facebook, being able to join interest groups, meetups are really good. I like meetups.com to be able to reach out to people through Zoom or on LinkedIn and start networking. And then afterwards, after I would build this portfolio with partners, I would do a cash out refinance, meaning I would get a new loan at the higher valuation of the portfolio of the product of the assets. I would buy out my partners, and then I would keep the units. My partners would be super happy. They put in $1 million. I gave them $2 million back in 2 or 3 years. They doubled their money. And now I, was able to retain all those units, and now I keep all the cash flow for myself. So, and then I just rinse and repeat that. That's essentially how I use other people's money to get to hundreds of units, because you will never get to more than 20 or 30 units continuing to just save and reinvest and buying 1 or 2 properties every, year. That's just a very long way of doing it, and it may work, for your lifestyle if that's what you're going for. But if you want significant income, then you have to leverage other people's money. If Section 8 is so profitable, why don't more investors do it? It's a great question, and I get this a lot, especially from people that are about to start doing Section 8. It's common misconceptions. People are worried about the horror stories from bad tenants, and the reason why there's bad tenants and all these Section 8 horror stories is because they're shitty landlords. That's what it comes down to. There's a lot of landlords that will get a Section 8 tenant just because they know the income's guaranteed, but they never screen them. They never check for felonies. They never check to see if they have, just got out of jail for trafficking drugs or manufacturing drugs or dealing drugs to minors, whatever the reason. These are all things that you need to check for before you ever let these people into your property. So this is why Section 8 gets a bad rap. Lack of interest, they would rather gamble on private tenants paying on time and not being affected by any recessions, depressions, or pandemics than deal with a Section 8 annual inspection that takes an hour. During 2020, we had our best year ever. In the middle of a global pandemic, we had hundreds of units that were still paying us every single month. We had 0 missed payments to any lenders or any banks, insurance companies, or property taxes. And that's only because of Section 8. Had all these tenants been private rate tenants, and then they got the free pass to not pay rent for a year and a half, I don't even know what I would have done. Honestly, it could have been very ugly. Resistant to change. Lots of landlords don't want to move to new systems. A lot of them, new marketing techniques. There's policies and inspections that you obviously will have to adapt when you're accepting federal money. And most people just, they don't want to learn that process. So there's kind of the main reasons why I would say, it doesn't really happen. So again, this is just an overview of the Section 8 video course. This is a few things that investors struggle with, and we go really in depth in the course with this, how to find profitable Section 8 houses. Section 8 money is made on when you buy, just like anything else. You make your money when you buy a car, you make your money when you buy a watch or anything that could potentially go up in value. That equity is captured and retained on the purchase. And if you buy incorrectly, then you're going to have a hard time getting out of it. You're going to have a hard time with appreciation, and you're going to have a hard time cash flowing if you don't buy the right unit designed for Section 8. If you buy using the wrong financial instruments, if you're buying with hard money lending with terrible terms, you're never going to make any money on cash flow monthly, and you're going to get stuck with a ton of fees when you try to sell it. They don't understand the markets and which ones are best for Section 8 investing. If you invest in certain states when state income tax is super high and it takes you 6 months and 20 grand to evict a tenant, you're going to have a bad time. Don't know how to negotiate rents. There is a lot of art and science with negotiating rents with Section 8. It's a delicate balance in being able to make sure that you capture what is actually going out in that market. And we walk you through step by step how to analyze the tenants and how to deal with that within Section 8. They don't know how to manage and keep tenants in the units for 5+ years. Turnover is what kills every investor. When a tenant moves out and they've been there for only 1 year, and let's say you've made $7,000 or $8,000 off of them, and if they move out on month 13 and they cause $4,000 or $5,000 worth of damage, and your deposit's only covering $1,000, that's your fault. You weren't doing inspections, you didn't screen that tenant very well, and now they're making you pay for it. So this is also a lot of what we discuss on how to prevent in the course. So this is essentially why I created this whole video course, is because I was getting a ton of DMs, ton of emails on TikTok, a million comments on how to do this. And the best and most scalable way of teaching this is by creating a course about it. And at the same time, this is just a shortcut that will break down every single step of the process. This is essentially the fast pass into getting directly what I already know and being able to avoid these mistakes. Because if you make one wrong mistake when you're buying the Section 8 property, or you place one wrong tenant, I promise you it will cost you a lot more than $5,000. So we will go into open question and answer now. I know that everyone's been raising their hand like crazy. Let me just jump right into the chat. Let's see. Yeah, to get added to the Telegram group, that is in the private coaching group. That is as part of the course. You'll get instant access to that. We still have 12 spots remaining. Dariel, you already have it, but you're not in the group. Dariel, just DM me or just email me. I'll put my email in here. It's tom@tomcruise.com. Feel free to DM me about that. And then I'll make sure that Blake, thank you for joining. I just got yours. Just got your order come through. Silver, yeah, it's the section8formula.com/5K. We still have more slots open. Dariel, yeah, you may have missed an email, Dariel. I'll help you with that as well. Yeah, and we are recording this. Thank you. I will be emailing it to everybody. Warzone, yeah, gotta avoid the war zones. Where can I find the recording? We'll be emailing. What size on average is good? It really varies. I would say less than 1,500 square feet. Oh, you messed up your audio. Sorry about that, Crystal. Thank you, Connor. Neil, if we just signed up, will we get the login info after the webinar is over? Yeah, I'll make sure that you receive it exactly. I just had another one sign up. Sorry, just making sure. Yeah, Donald, just go ahead and join, especially with the one-on-one coaching. I'll walk you through it, man, and make sure that you understand every aspect of it. How long will enrollment be for? We are going to be, so for the free 2-hour call, it's going to be just for this webinar. So once those spots run out, we have about, I think, 5 or 6 more spots for that. We've already had 14 registrations so far. Once we run out of the spots, then we'll, there won't be any more 2 hours available. But as far as general enrollment for the whole program, I would say probably early September, whenever we cap out on how I can help people. I would say, yeah, it's correct. Is Section 8 viable in Illinois? Yes, it is. Chicago, not so much. I would say surrounding areas. How can you identify fair market rent in an area? It depends on the area, and it also depends on what Section 8 is deemed there. There's several different methods that I mentioned in the course on how to be able to do that. It gets pretty complicated. It's not something I can explain in 5 minutes on the formula that they use to determine FMR. And that also changes year to year. How do you buy out your partners as well as how you set the split in equity? So we do a 50-50 split in equity, and then we'll I'll give them a higher percentage of cash flow every month until they recoup their down payment. That way, you know, they can get that down payment back faster and they feel more comfortable in it. I'm not doing seller financing for investment properties, just primaries. If you get a loan for 15%, are you paying PMI? Usually no, because if you do commercial, if you do a commercial loan with a commercial local lender, then you're not paying PMI. PMI is only for residential loans. Can you give me an example of how you screen a tenant? Yeah, sure. I mean, we have software that we run through. It's going to generate their eviction history, their background check, their eviction check, and landlord references and previous addresses. And then from there, we'll go through and have our process that we go through in the course and make sure that there's certain things that they're not, you know, breaking. For example, no evictions. If they have even one eviction, it's an instant disqualification. We talk about all the things that, you know, based on hundreds of evictions that we've done in the past, what they all had in common, and we discuss that as well. Are mobile homes profitable if you don't own the land? No. If you don't own the land, you're not. You're essentially a tenant too. So you need to convert a property. Section 8 is to pass inspection. Yes, if the property is compliant and it passes inspection, it's now a Section 8 property, and they'll start paying rents on it. And the value, yes, it does increase. Think about it. If you're an investor and you see a property available for rent or for sale, and they tell you that it's a guaranteed rental income at $1,400 a month and the property is in good shape, you're going to have a lot less hesitation in buying that. And also it's going to appraise higher when they do a commercial appraisal. What do we use to screen tenants? We have several different software through either TransUnion. There's a few other apps that we use internally that we share with the group that works really well. Can I be my own property manager? Yeah, you can definitely self-manage if you have the time. I just usually don't recommend it if you have 10 or more properties, just because your time is better served buying more properties. Yes, tenants are always responsible for cutting grass. You don't need to get approved for Section 8 before buying. As I signed up during the live, what is the cost to upgrade from 1 hour Zoom FaceTime to 2 hours? Janine, I'll just do it for an extra $400 since you already bought it. If you want an extra, usually I charge $500 an hour, but I'll do it for $400 if you want an extra hour of time. I do cash out refis only if I have a partner. If I don't have a partner, then no. With the course, you do get full lifetime access to the Discord. Yeah, Thomas, I'll do that. Anybody that's in the Discord here that buys today, I'll also give you lifetime access to Discord for free. Alex, I would say the difference is going to be the density of crime, the types of crime, and also if you'd want to drive down there through the day. We are not offering payment plans right now, no. 1,500 square feet or bigger, probably not, unless it's a 4-bedroom. Do you increase rents annually with Section 8 and how? Yes, that's built into the lease, and we discuss how we raise that accordingly in there. Where is the best market to start? I would say anywhere in the Southeast, like I mentioned earlier. It's completely up to you. In Texas, I've had several students that have had good luck in Houston. More bedrooms, the better. Yeah, after 4 bedrooms, I think they cap it. Some cities will do 5. It just depends on the demand. ideal property that one should strive to acquire every single time. I would say 3-bedroom, 1 or 2 bath. Will the course be available next month? Possibly. I'm capping the overall attendance in there because I am offering 12 months of coaching. I can't have hundreds of people in the course because there'll just be too many questions day to day, and it just won't be fair because I won't be able to. It's only me coaching. So if you want to get into the course, this is going to be the best option. I would say less than 2 weeks overall of how much longer we'll keep it open. And when we reopen it, the price will double because we're going to be adding a lot more content to it too. Can you give an example of negotiations you did in your first 1 to 5 rental properties when starting out to the banks? At that point, there's very low leverage. So as far as negotiating with the banks, it's just whatever. I deal with multiple banks, and whoever gives me the best term sheet, I go for. There's no price too low for Section 8. It's all relative. I mean, if you're in Alabama and you have a $40,000 house, that could be equivalent to a $70,000 house in Wilmington. Yes, I was my own property manager for the first 30 units. I regret that. What's the layout of the course? How many hours a week? The course is only several hours long. It's all very, just like this webinar PowerPoint presentation, it's very direct. There's no fluff. I go through every single one. So you can knock it out, I would say, in less than 4 hours. Highest possible rents. That all comes back to tenant and looking at the formula with Section 8 as to how they calculate that based on the factors that I mentioned earlier. We do go over that in the course. Is there room to value add or raise the rent? Yes, there is. You can definitely raise the rent. You don't have to do any value add or cosmetics or remodeling. It's just market adjustments. How much one-on-one time do you get in mentorship? If you join in this webinar, you will get the 2 hours of direct FaceTime with me. And then afterwards, it's a private group chat. So it'll be just like a Telegram group or a Discord group, but there's only 40 or 50 people in there currently. So it's a whole lot. You can ask a question and I guarantee a same day response. Am I still buying Section 8 deals in Wilmington? Yes, I'm buying anywhere from 5 to sometimes 15 units per month between North Carolina, South Carolina, and now Ohio. I just bought 6 units in Ohio last week. Nick, I'm only doing partnerships with any deals over $1 million in cash. So if you have over $1 million in cash and you do want to partner, then it'll generally make sense for both of us. So yeah, my email is tom@tomcruise.com. I just posted that in here. Sorry, I just had some other questions come through. We have 4 more slots available, guys. Wait. Yeah, we have 4 more available slots. We've already sold 16. A lot of the houses are being scooped up. No, there's over 150,000 dwellings just in my town. I promise you there's no shortage of housing. Sorry, I'm just going back up. There's a lot of questions. San Antonio's a key, shows what's paid. Yes, that amount that you see in those areas for that town is completely negotiable. Are there any non-obvious crimes? Yes, there are a lot of crimes that you just wouldn't even think about, that when we go back and look at eviction history, all the people that we evicted had them, or there was a lowest common denominator there. I'm not concerned about a higher loan payment percentage if you're putting a lower down payment, as long as it continues to cash flow. And with the rates that Section 8s pay, it normally cash flows. Section 8 in Charleston is hard. Charleston, like Raleigh and like Charlotte, fast growing market. And it's just more limited deals. It's a lot more looking at off market deals and surrounding areas. Guys, these are more primary. Well, Charleston, I still say secondary like Wilmington, but they're just a lot more expensive properties there. Most of my properties are in the Southeast. Likelihood of getting a loan approval with student loans, it doesn't matter, because if you're buying a property and it's rented, that rent will offset your debt to income ratio. So if your mortgage is $600 a month on that property and you already have a tenant in there at $1,000, or you have someone interested that you can show a potential lease to the lender, they won't count that 600 against you. So Student loans, unless it's ugly and you have zero income, is normally not going to be a disqualifying factor, especially if you're looking at commercial loans or more creative financing options. Most of my properties are in the Southeast. Good resources to learn about Section 8. Most of my stuff was trial and error. That's why I came up with this course. And that's why, there's almost 300 people on here today, is because there's not many other resources on Section 8. The ones that are out there, the owner might have had 4, 5, 6 properties on YouTube. It's very limited. I haven't found anyone else that has hundreds of Section 8 units. So that's the main reason why I put together this course, is to be able to offer, this type of information and how to scale it. I mean, that's what everybody wants. What sort of rates do commercial lenders charge if you have great credit? You can expect to pay 1/4 of a point on the purchase, and then probably around 4% right now on a 5-year balloon sitting on a 25-year AM. Red states, definitely easier. Just is better landlord laws. It's not even a political thing. It's just North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, all those places. Go check out the state income tax and go check out the average price of a property there, and you'll see why it's perfect for Section 8. How do I buy properties out of state? I buy the same way I buy them in state. Look for them, make sure they're good deals, and then have a property manager take over. All the software that I use, as far as like Realtor and the screening software, is all included in the course. Yes, Section 8 is a federal program. It is available in the whole country. Jamie, I'm a real estate agent. My sister works for a nonprofit. We both want to buy the course. We probably won't be able to until next week. Okay, that's fine. Just let me know when you do, and I will see you in there. What if they say no to getting bought out? That's a good question. I'll tell them to find their own property manager, and I'll just, tell them that, hey, look, it just doesn't make sense for me to do this anymore as property management. I'll give a 30-day notice, and we can just find another property manager together. They know no one's going to be managing the property as well as you are, and more than likely they'll get pretty amenable to that. Does Section 8 money go to the tenant and then the tenant pays you? No, it does not. Section 8 pays you directly into your bank account. Section 8 to be a landlord in most places, about, I would say, 2 to 3 days. Can I talk more about the course? Sure. The course is, like I said earlier on, it's 7 modules. It goes into depth about from finding the property to closing on the property, negotiating the rents, to scaling. It also includes 12 months of group coaching in there. The whole thing is $5,000 one-time fee. And you guys can section8formula.com/5K. This is, I'll actually put this in. I'm sorry, guys. I should have probably put this in here. There you go. It's a lot easier for everyone to see. Will the federal program deny property for any reason? No, unless it doesn't conform to their bedroom and certain sizes, then no. You can always make Section 8 private again. You don't have to keep it. As long as the tenant moves out, then you can do whatever you want with it. How many months should you inspect the tenant's house? We do it twice a year. We do annual increases for the properties. I usually put around 15 to 20% down. Yeah, guys, in order to join, section8formula.com/5K is the link. Yeah, if you talk to the housing authority and ask them how many outstanding vouchers there are, they'll tell you. I do mention as far as the rights and putting that into the operating agreement, but at the beginning, sometimes the partners may not want to do that, especially if things are going really well. But if we aren't on the Discord, do we also get it for free? Yes, if you guys want to be on the Discord for life for free, that will be included if you go ahead and upgrade today. Janine, you already have it, so just email me, tom@tomcruise.com, and I will give you access. Yes, pro Discord access for life for any member that joins. What happens if you purchase a house with the intentions of renting it? Actually, I probably should just show this screen. Probably makes a whole lot more sense. There you go. Can you guys tell this is my first webinar? There you go. What other questions do we have here? We just sold another one, so we are down to three more courses for this 2-hour coaching. Are you partnering with students in your course? I have not yet. I'm not against it. It really depends on the deal. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the deals that I'm looking at are $1 million plus, but if you have a deal that makes a lot of sense or it's cash flowing or you really know an area well, then I would always consider that too. I prefer Section 8 over house hacking. If you're able to house hack with Section 8, if you have like a quad, then even better. But I look for about $500 minimum per month in payment. When you're getting the off-market properties, how you differentiate, it's all about the seller financing terms. All these guys that are reaching out and trying to get these properties off market are trying to wholesale them. And that's a whole different conversation than when you're trying to buy them. How can you find out how much Section 8s will pay in a city? We discussed that in depth in the course. Most important aspect, I would say location and condition. Ron, no, anybody that pays $5,000 for the course will get that access for life and all the additional content that comes with it for life. What I'm saying is after I close access to the course and I reopen it, then the price will have doubled to $10,000. That's correct. No problem, Carlo. Off topic question, how do you buy your cars? It's a combination of lease or financing and it just depends on the car. Google the city. Yeah, I'm excited to get my things in order. There you go, Cash. If you did your first 30 units again, what would you do different to prevent the regret? I would have had a property manager take over at about 10 units, definitely. You don't need to find an attorney to work with Section 8, no. Thomas, if you buy the Section 8 course now, yeah, anybody that buys the Section 8 course now at section8formula.com/5K, I will give you pro Discord for life, 2 hours of the FaceTime call with me or Zoom call. You will get all 7 video modules and you'll also get private group coaching. So you're going to get a lot of value for this $5 grand. Yes, the 2 hours, if you buy, you can split that 2 hours. It doesn't have to be consecutive. Why would a tenant use a $1,300 voucher on a home with a low value when they could get a nicer looking home that still falls under the voucher's theoretic $1,300? Demand. All the best houses on Section 8 are going to go fast. So the best quality tenants get them. So, and also they don't know if the voucher is for $1,300. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very dependent on the number of bedrooms and their income and a lot of other things. I buy properties all the time without seeing them. 4 more available slots for the course for this. So with the course, I'm offering the 2 hours free. I'm only doing 20 slots of that. And right now we're down to 3 of them. So we have 3 slots available. 17 of you guys have picked up the course in the last hour and 15 minutes. Yes, you can buy the course with your partner. Yes, you can split a login. Just let me know what those IP addresses are so I can add both of them. Otherwise, if you try to share logins across state lines or anything else, then the course software will block both of them. Best way to see if there's a shortage, call the housing authority and ask them how many vouchers are outstanding. No, I won't do Section 8 to Airbnb. I don't like short-term rentals that much. Airbnb's just a lot more work. Everything it's worth having a property manager, even if you only have 1 or 2 properties. Yeah, I mean, if you're buying remotely, you're going to have a property management. Would it be a good or bad idea to require drug screening? We don't do that. A county's current payment standard is basically, no, that's the baseline. We generally get more than the baseline. Yeah, Dallas, Houston, or Dallas, Fort Worth, very good. How do you sign up for the slots, Anna? It's right here, section8formula.com/5K. It's a $5,000 one-time investment. It does get you 12 months of coaching, unlimited free for life access to the Discord and also to the portal for the courses. Fred, sorry guys if I confuse you. So at the beginning, we just have an in-webinar offer, which is simply the 2-hour free FaceTime with me. That 2-hour free FaceTime, we've sold 17 of those, which is the $5,000 course. I was saying if you bought a $5,000 course on this webinar and you're one of those 20 people, you get a 2-hour free FaceTime with me. We have 3 slots available for that. But as far as just the course in general, there's more slots. We'll probably have another, I would say 50 to 60 slots that will fill up in the next couple of weeks, in which case then we will close it. Sorry if that was confusing. How do you buy your Section 8 houses if you're out of state investor without flying there? You have agents that are there, property managers that are there. Biggest mistake you made, not scaling fast enough. I spent a lot of time trying to fund my own deals and not use other people's money. Correct. Crystal, we can still sign up after this. We just wouldn't get the 2-hour call. That is correct. You guys can still sign up after this. It's just the big deal now would be the 2-hour free call. What is the cap for the Section 8 course? I would say about 100 people. And like I said, right now, I think we have around 45, 50. So that's why I said we probably have another 50 people in there. Texas is great for Section 8, especially Houston. Best way to start Section 8 housing, go to this link right here, sign up for the course, and then use me for the coaching. No, Section 8 will not pay for damages. That's on you. How do you find the right insurance for each house? It depends on the part of the country that you're in. For example, we're in North Carolina. We have wind and hail. We have different requirements. We talk about that as well in the course. We're looking at anywhere from $500 to $600 per month in net cash flow or net profit per month, between $6,000 and $7,000 per year. Is the one-on-one $500 call with you, is that via FaceTime? It can be FaceTime, Zoom. Zoom would probably be easier if you want to share a deal. No, there's no special taxes. I'm not a big multifamily guy. I prefer single family. How would you value their shares? It's all based on the equity that you went in with. So if you're 50-50, then you own 50%, he owns 50% of the equity. So then it's just a matter of getting an appraisal on the properties and figuring out what it's worth. The full Zoom call will be recorded. I will share it later, yes. At the beginning, what was your pitch when trying to pull in investors? It was mostly just pushing my track record with them, explaining to them, that I already know what I'm doing and what I needed. I was very upfront with them. I literally sent them emails saying, look, guys, I simply need a silent partner. You guys are a checkbook to me. This is what I've already done. This is what I need. Here's the returns that you can expect. Do you want to in or not? How does Section 8 work with payments? Tenants pay utilities and you pay the mortgage. That's really about it. Sorry, I'm just realizing I'm like 9 minutes behind. Sorry, I'm behind on the chats. I just bought. I'm not a pro Discord. Did you get it? Yes, Baldeep. You did just buy. We have 2 more slots available. Thank you, Baldeep. And yes, you will get a pro Discord member for life. Just feel free to DM me or email me, tom@tomcruise.com, and then I will get you access to that as well. Sean, if you're already part of the course, we can discuss that in that 2-hour call. That's a really good question when it comes to property, figuring out the highest probability of success based on cash flow. I've already bought a ton in Akron and I'm starting to buy in Dayton. So reach out to me in the course. I'm a student currently saving to buy the course. Sarah, the second wave, I'm probably, I don't know. I'm going to say that towards the end of the year. I might also, I have another investor friend locally that has almost as many units as me, and he may join, which would be able to help with the overall volume. But I would say it's the price will double. Like I said, the price will double from 5,000 to 10,000 when we reopen. But I would say by the end of the year. Best way of finding properties. Yeah, we like direct mail. We also like Deal Machine. There's a ton of different ways to be able to identify those units. Yeah. Do you ask the housing authority for the town, or is there local offices? Yeah, look for the county. The county will have that. What's my Instagram? T Cruz NC. What do you notify the bank giving them the loan? Oh, they'll know that I'm doing Section 8 when I send them the contract. Moolah, Tom Cruise, I fucking love you. Thanks for all the info. No problem, Moolah. Let's get to the moolah. I'm about to take my general's exam for PhD. We'll be in touch in the near future. Awesome. Looking forward to it. How do you increase rent with Section 8? You just put it into the lease. Anywhere from 3 to 5% is what you expect. Is there a deadline for when we would need to use a 2-hour call? There's no deadline. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. It's for life. You can take as long as you want to use that 2-hour call. When you're doing seller financing, it depends on the deal, how much leverage you have, how long it's been on the market, a million other things. I do work with realtors, yeah. Tell us more about Salvation Army tenants. Salvation Army usually has a local housing office in your town, depending on how big your town is. They work great for guaranteed rental income. A lot of times they'll prepay like 3 months ahead. And it's just a matter of reaching out to them. And what the stuff that you learn through Section 8 will be applicable to Salvation Army because they go by the same federal guidelines as Section 8, coincidentally enough. No, we don't buy a ton from wholesalers. Insurance does pay during a fire. Yes. What do you call for finding out the information on how many vouchers? Just call the county. Call the county and ask them about for the housing authority office in your county. I was paying $4,000 per month for my 30 units. What is the Discord? Discord is simply a community platform that allows people to go in there and talk. And there's a ton of content in there as well about, we discuss mostly wholesaling, and there's a lot of other investors in there. Can I join tomorrow and still get the same value? Mason, no, I'm sorry. You can still join. You just won't get the free 2-hour call. 2-hour call, and there's gonna be 20 people. Right now, we still have 2 slots available. It's just, that's already what, 40 hours worth of time. So just in this one webinar, I've created 40 hours worth of overall calls. So I can't continue to do that in perpetuity. How fast would it take to get me, how fast would it take me to get back to where I was at now if I started from 0? If I knew the same things that I knew now and had the same experiences, I would say less than 5 years, maybe 4. It would be half the time. I would honestly say half the time. What would I do to go faster? I would network more earlier and just get more in with higher net worth individuals. Getting a real estate license no, I mean, it doesn't. Being a licensed agent really doesn't help that much. I mean, you can get into properties, through MLS, but if you have a buyer's agent, they can get you in same day or next day. If you have a good buyer's agent, they can also notify you of upcoming properties. Yeah, I use property managers to look at properties and check them out. If you comp my investment for the course, I will offer you 25% of my annual income. Sorry, I don't work on contingency. Janine, who is 18 and will be helping me as account and be added to the course. You can share the login with her, and there's just going to be one point of access inside the in the group channel. sorry, in the Telegram group, it'll either be you or her that can reach out in there. But just share the same login. How to increase rents with Section 8? Yeah, with Section 8, you can build that into the marketing, so or into the lease. So at that point, every year when they do the recertification of the lease, they'll evaluate that and they'll just increase it automatically. So you don't have to fight with them for it. Residency to get loans. I work in the US on a visa. I don't know, Reynaldo. I honestly do not know. I've only had experience with Canadians buying properties here, and it was never an issue because they've worked with banks here that worked with Canadian foreign nationals, but I don't know of other nationalities or residency requirements. Mason, you can't get the same value even if you buy tomorrow. No, I'm sorry. The offer is in webinar only. This is not a gimmicky used car sales, trick. This is very much, it is what it is. Daryl, thank you so much. You're halfway done with the course and it's very well structured and broken down. I'm glad that you're getting good value out of it. Are the tenants the ones paying more when you do the annual increase? No, the tenants don't pay any more. They're fixed. Their portion is fixed based on their income. It's just the government pays more. Of the people you've coached, what is the most properties anyone's bought in the first year? Oh, wow. I had this guy who is a banker out of Charlotte. His name's Clark. Clark, if you're on here, what's up? I'm sorry, I'm putting it on blast. But he bought 16 units starting from 0 in 14 months. I started working with him right when I started TikTok. We had reached out, and he also plays paintball. And I've kind of mentored him and helped him buy units. And he just reinvested. He found a couple local investors that were also flippers in Charlotte and surrounding areas. And he's been able to get, I think 10 of them are by himself. And then he's got either 4 or 5 of them. Can't remember how many he's up to right now, with investors, which he's splitting. I think some of them are 50-50, some of them are 33. But yeah, I would say 14 is the benchmark of the most that I've been able to mentor someone to get on their own. If you have the course already, how can I get the second hour one-on-one? Email me, Daryl, and I'll figure something out. Can we get a reference code? My cousin may like the course. Yeah, just section8formula.com. It's right here. This is the link to be able to sign up. And then Daryl, just email me. Thomas, yes, you can. If you have any car limits, if you pay the 3,000 or whatever your car limit is today, I will hold it until tomorrow where you can pay the balance. Anybody that has that restriction, just email me, tom@tomcruise.com. I just posted it there. And then I will work with you. I understand that debit cards and certain credit cards will limit you on your daily spend. H-Town, shout out to H-Town. Sorry, a lot of good questions. How much would you say you're netting with 10 properties each month? I would say 10 properties times figure $500 per month. You should be making around 5,000 per month, 5,000 to 6,000 per month, around 60 to 70,000 per year. Murray, when can I expect the Section 8 login? I will make sure that everybody gets their login after this webinar. It should have been sent to you automatically, so maybe check your spam. If you haven't, anyone that's bought on here, I promise you I will manually verify that afterwards. Nobody will be left locked out. If anybody has a special payment arrangement they want to do because of your credit card limit, just email me, tom@tomcruise.com, and then I will accommodate that. I'll give you a call after this, and then I'll take that payment for that. Are you required to pay the bills of the unit, or does the tenant take care of utility? Tenant always pays utilities. I'm already preparing for one property. That's awesome, Dario. Congratulations. What do you do if more than people? You can either evict them or just report them to the counselor, and they'll sort it out. Sean, would really appreciate flying out to all these areas in 2 or 3 weeks. This is the question which I asked. Like I said, that's a very in-depth question as far as looking at the properties, looking at your budget, looking at a million different factors. I can't just simply tell you what one town that would work the best for you to go fly to and check that out. We can definitely spend time with that 2 hours if you want to jump in. but I like Akron, I like Dayton, and I like Wilmington. I haven't bought in Miami. There's a lot of pros and cons for each one. Your thoughts on foreclosure? I do not like foreclosure. I really prefer in-person, or sorry, pre-foreclosure, or just out of, not even short sales. And I don't, when the banks or attorneys are involved, it's a huge pain, and I just am not a fan of it. How much does insurance cost? It varies. I mean, depends on the state and the county that you're in. Here, it's about $800 a year per unit. If you haven't bought a property yet, what's the best way to utilize first-time home buyer programs? I would say get an FHA for a 4-unit, live in one, and rent out the other 3. From the 400K a month you generate, how much do you net? I would say about 60% of that. Do we get access to contracts, legal paperwork? I provide all the Section 8 documents, all the checklists and everything that we provide. Every state is different. So offer to purchase, for example, and legal documents for that. We'll show you where to get it, but we don't provide that. We do have every offer to purchase actually in the state. So in the Discord, you'll get access to that. So to answer your question, yes, we'll provide all the contracts, all the legal paperwork, all the resources that you will need in the course. How to deal with taxes owed to Uncle Sam? I do use one CPA, and she helps reduce that tax burden, and it just comes down to it's Section 8 properties or any properties in general with rentals. It's very easy to reduce your tax burden. There's depreciation, there's expenses, there's anything you can do to improve the property. All of that plays into it. Yes, the course price will double by the end of the year. I'm thinking legitimately within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be closing down this cohort of this class in the course, and then probably reopening it 4 to 6 months down the road. We'll be adding a lot more content. I'll be adding probably one of my partners to be able to help with questions, and then the course price will double to 10,000. So right now, this webinar is my first webinar, and it's going to be the best value. You guys are getting a lifetime access to the Pro Discord. You're getting 7 modules. You're getting 2-hour free FaceTime with me, and you're getting 12 months of private group coaching for $5,000. It's just not feasible to do that long-term until more people kind of churn out of this. If I'm wanting to acquire 3 or 4 properties, best way to run each conventional loan, I would if you're trying to buy 3 or 4 all at the same time, I would do a commercial loan and then aggregate them all into one commercial loan. It'd be a lot less headache. While I love all this education and courses, won't this increase competition and make it harder for us to replicate what you did? Hold on. Here's a fun fact. How many dwellings in the USA? As of 2019, there's 140 million dwellings in these United States. I promise you, you have nothing to worry about running out of properties or units to go after. There's 140 million of them. How many units do you think one of your mentees can have in 5 to 8 years? It completely depends. I mean, I can't even hypothesize on that. I mean, it depends on your income, it depends on your time, it depends on your tenacity, it depends on your motivation, it depends on your discipline. I have several coaching students that they go out and have 10 properties. Now they're making $6,000 a month, and they combine that with their $5,000 from their job. They're making $11,000, and they're out buying, $3,000 a month car payments and not growing. So it really depends on the individual. We don't do a ton of direct mail. We're mostly doing Facebook ads. We're doing a lot of seller financing from super old listings on For Sale by Owner. There's a lot of different ways that we're finding these deals, but direct mail is just one piece of the puzzle. To answer your question, probably less than 5,000 per month. Yes, great question, Jonathan. Rents do vary based on single family to multifamily. Single family will pay a higher premium because you have the land, you have a backyard, you have off-street parking, and sometimes there's garages. So yes. Thanks, Daryl. Brian, I'll definitely play at CPX in Chicago. I was actually at the national event last year in Chicago. I was playing D4X ball. Why don't I like multifamily? There's a lot of reasons. Liquidity. It's a lot harder to get out of a 100-unit deal versus 100 single family portfolio. You can peel off properties. You can sell a lot faster. You don't have to deal with on-site property managers. You don't have to deal with amenities. You don't have to deal with competition from other multifamily. You don't have to deal with neighbor disputes. It's just you don't have to deal with utilities. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. I'm not a multifamily guy. It's just not for me. Can I make a USDA into a Section 8? Yes, assuming you've lived. I think they might have a living requirement. You have to check out how long they've been there. Thank you, Rami. I'm glad you liked all the information. Glad you guys got value out of it. Building a building for Section 8. What are your thoughts? 14 units. I think if you do not homogenize, SAT word for the day, meaning putting them all on Section 8, 100%, and have a split there, I think that could work pretty well. How many houses can I expect to get with 100,000 to invest? Great question. 100,000 is a 20% down payment on $500,000 worth of property. So on $500,000, assuming you're buying them at 80,000 a door, I don't know what that 7 houses, 500,000 divided by 70,000. Yeah, you can buy 7 doors. So 7 doors times 7 times 550 per month. You're making 3850 per month times 12. You'll make 46,000 a year. So you'll break even in a little over 2 years. 10 properties, you're going to pay 10%. So on $12,000 in gross rents on 10 properties, assume to pay $1,200 out of that. Nate, if you have any issues with a counselor, reach out directly to the director of Section 8, and they usually resolve the problem very quickly. Average cash on cash return, I would say it's around 53 to 54%. Minimum 50% is what we target. How often do you have issues with tenants paying their rent? Very rarely. I mean, even during the pandemic, we worked with some tenants. Obviously, if we're still getting 90% of the rents from other sources, then from Section 8, then we don't really worry about it too much. If it's $100, we'll give them an extra month to pay it, but we still track it down. I have a rental right now. Is in Akron, has a nickname of Cracktown. I don't know. I just started buying there, but so far so good. I got a good property manager. I like my agent that's dealing with it. How do we do the payment plan? Just email me. If you guys need to put I'll say minimum, whatever your credit card max is for today, we'll just put that on there, or your debit card daily spending limit. Just email tom@tomcruise.com. I will put that in here too. tom@tomcruise.com. And then this will just email me there, and then I will I'll hook it up. I'll take whatever you can do today, and then we'll do the remaining balance tomorrow. Yeah, thank you, Blake, for signing up. We just had one more purchase. We have one more available unit, actually. One more available 2-hour free FaceTime offer. This one, the webinar only special. We've already had 19 people sign up, so we have one more available. Murray, thank you for signing up. I appreciate that. Do you still offer seller financing? I do, but it's gonna be for primary residence only. Out of 400 properties, how many would you say are non-traditional debt service? 30, 40%. I would say the remaining are going to be commercial, residential, other people money. Yeah. Yes, duplexes can be Section 8. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. Yes, you can have more than one Section 8 tenant in multifamily. Can you explain seller financing? It's very simple. You go to someone that's selling their property for sale by owner or with an agent, and you just offer them, hey, look, your house is for 100 grand. I'll give you $10,000 down. You finance $90,000 for me. I'll make the payments directly to you. They act as the bank. Yes, Murray, the course does go over property management and how to find them and how to, be able to train them. You can also share this with your property manager if you want. How long would you wait for the house to build enough equity? Whenever you see the market going up, that's going to be completely based on your market, on how much it's rented for, and how much equity you already have in it. Figure 10% to pay property manager. Yes, the course, you will have lifetime access to it. What's the link to sign up for the two? Donald, it's right here, section8formula.com/5K. I will put it in here again, section8formula.com/5K. Really good question, guys. Brian, what division do you play in? Your name actually looks familiar, man. Yeah, I'm in Wilmington. Kodak Cruz, shout out. Foreclosures are just a big pain. I'm not a big fan of foreclosures. I prefer pre-foreclosures. Ron Whitaker, email me, tom@tomcruise.com. Just send that over to you, and then I can set you up with the course today. Yeah, guys, we still have one slot available. We've sold 19. When this last one goes, I'll go ahead and stop answering questions. Okay, Ron, then yeah, if you want to take the slot, go sign up here, section8formula.com/5K. I just sent that over to you. Whoever takes the last one gets it. It is what it is. How do you calculate the pay for your property manager? I usually do 10% of the gross rents. It's completely dependent on that. I just made 100 grand. What are my plans? All I'm going to do is just reinvest the majority of this into content. I'm going to be doing a lot higher production value content. I'm hiring a videographer. I'm also going to be hiring, I'm putting more into Facebook ads. I definitely want to be able to grow the community in the course and also in Discord. And I don't know, I might buy a few more houses. Can I make USDA? No, I'm not going to do any Grant Cardone type of TV. No, that's way too much content. How old are these properties? That's a great question. For when I'm buying them, anywhere from 60 to 70 years old, I would say. Some of them are a little bit newer. I've bought them as new as like 1960s, 1970s, but most of the properties are World War II houses in my area. There's a lot of historic homes here. Sorry, got hair constantly in my face. No man, K. Yeah, so we just went over an entire presentation on Section 8 and how to get started. I will, if you registered for this webinar, then I will send the recording back to you guys and go from there. But yeah, there'll be more information in here. Does Section 8 have a concern with lead paint with the older homes? Yes, they make you sign a disclosure. And from that point on, you just need to make sure you comply. And the tenants need to know, Section 8 needs to know, depending on how bad it is, if there's like chips in that lead, then they'll let it slide. But if it's really, really bad, then they might make you repaint it. Thomas, I got your email, man, and I'll message you afterwards. And you're still locked in. I already had you counted, so you're good, man. Anybody else that needs to pay a certain amount today, just let me know, and I'm more than happy to accommodate. So if you're only able to put, your credit card or debit card max today, and you can put the balance tomorrow, then I will just email me, tom@tomcruise.com, right here in red, and I will make sure that happens for you. We have some people that were interested, that had raised their hand. Devin, did you want to talk? If you wanted to talk, Devin.
Oh, yeah. So
So,
about the partners, basically. So you have 50-50, right? For
correct.
equity, and then you have a little bit more in cash flow. Obviously, so I have two now. I just bought another one last week, Section 8, and we have about 10 silent partners, and then my stepfather has about $5 million.
Awesome.
Who is willing to put a lot in, and then his parents have another 10. So it's pretty ridiculous amount of money. I was just really curious about, first of all, and I know you answered one of my questions about the valuation of their shares and them saying no to actually getting bought out. How long does that process take? And also, when you cash out refi, I realize that most of the time you're buying, I guess, a little bit under market, but how long does it take with appreciation to actually buy them out after cash out refi?
I buy them out the day that the check clears for the cash out refi. We'll do a buy sell agreement with the attorney, and I'll have them, just be able to transfer all those properties into my LLC. I never leave it in the original LLC. I like consolidating them into all in one.
Okay.
As far as time to do that refi, it depends on how long it takes you to force that appreciation through the rent roll. If you're able to, if it's already undervalued and you, in 6 months are able to do some cosmetic repairs, put some really good tenants in there, you're able to, 6 months to a year, you can force that appreciation dramatically.
And you do that through a commercial, right? Commercial.
Oh yeah. Commercial cash out refi. 'Cause then they do a commercial appraisal, and then they look at a lot of other things such as the rent roll, the financials. Yeah. Timmy Dio.
Okay, so if you buy a place for appraisal, it's worth $100.
Sorry, you're breaking up. Say that again. I think I lost you there, Devin. No, you're still broken up. Let me try muting you and unmuting you. Hold on.
Hello?
Yeah, what's up? Timidayo, I increase rents annually. Yes. We usually bake in either 3 to 5% rental increase into the lease with Section 8, and they automatically increase that. Wouldn't a cash out refi affect the mortgage and lower the cash flow? Yes, it will. But right now, think about it. If you're splitting your cash flow 50-50 with a partner, and now you retain 100% of that cash flow because you now have bought it out, even if the cash flow decreases 20%, 15%, you're still retaining more cash flow, more, obviously, all the equity than you would before. Do you put all the properties into one LLC, or do you recommend grouping them? I would group them by state. I would have a separate holding LLC in each state. Do they appreciate, or are they for cash flow only? I never buy on appreciation, guys. Betting on appreciation is gambling. You never know which way the market's going to go. You can't time it. You have to only buy for cash flow and tax purposes. So that's the way that I buy it. Definitely. Do you put all the properties into one LLC? Do you recommend grouping them by state? Yeah, by state would be ideal. If you're buying all in one state, you just need one LLC. I wouldn't recommend buying one for each or putting one in each property. It just, people get ridiculous with it. The site timed down the part that said steps I was trying to access. Ron Whitaker, just email me, tom@tomcruise.com, and I will help you with that. Yes, I do have a set contractors and guys that we work with locally. Sarim, I just unmuted you if you want to talk. A lot of questions. I like the engagement. Very exciting.
No, I'm good. You answered my question, man. Thank you.
No problem, man. All right. Laraz. Sorry if I butchered your name. Did you still have a question? I think a lot of these people just raised their hands earlier on.
Actually, I do have a quick question for you, man. So I think I might have answered it before.
No, go ahead.
So it's not necessarily you need to be Section 8 approved before buying a house or anything like that. That can all happen once you get the property and whatnot.
That's correct. Yeah, they won't even let you do anything before you have a property. So,
Okay, gotcha.
the property gets approved, not you as a landlord. All you need to do as a landlord is they have one form with your direct deposit information, and that's all you got to do.
And how long does the process usually take from like, let's say if I bought a property and could it all be done within like in a month?
Between finding a property and closing on it?
I'm saying like after you close on a property and getting a tenant in there, like getting approved for Section 8 and whatnot.
Oh, no. I mean, it should be closer to 3 weeks. I mean, finding a tenant, figure 10 days, and then maybe another 7 to 10 days for inspection and, screening and, lease signing.
Okay.
Yeah, I would figure closer to it's 20 to 22 days.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, no
Hey,
problem.
Tom.
Hey.
Hi, that's Liraz.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I was like, wait
It's
a minute.
good. I was actually wanted to ask, so obviously I have like a property right now that I'm interested in buying for a Section 8, but I live in California and the property is in North Carolina, and I honestly don't want to fly there right now.
Yeah.
And I just honestly don't want to get scammed, and I don't know how it works or whether the steps, to go through and actually buy it without flying, and I know some people said you need, I don't know, like I don't know, like that's why I'm asking.
So what part do you think you would get scammed as far as like deposit
'cause
or?
I'm gonna buy it in cash. So basically it's like once I am paying cash, I never saw those people, yes, the listing is on Zillow and realtor.com, but I don't know those people. Yes, they are a realtor in real life and everything, and I checked, but I don't know how it works.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't get scammed out of your money because the closing is going to go through a barred North Carolina attorney here. So it's not like it's just going to be, you wire them money and they give you the title. It has to go through an attorney. They do the title and the deed search. And it'll cost you $700 for the whole operation. The only thing you need to worry about is the condition of the property being represented as they say, in which case I would pay $500 for an inspector to go by there, to go check it out. But no, I mean, it's very low probability. If there's a licensed North Carolina agent and you have a licensed North Carolina inspector, and then you have a barred North Carolina real estate transaction attorney all involved, you'll be fine.
And would you happen to know if there's any, other than that, I mean, is there any way during that process to know if there's any lien on the properties or anything like that, like tax owned or anything at all?
The attorney will tell you that when they pull the address, they have to check for any liens because they can't release the title to you until all those liens are cleared, and the seller is responsible for that. So you wouldn't get stuck on that.
Got it. Thank you so much. I do want to do the phone call, with you before that, like I do the course. So I'm hoping to email you today because of the balance and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and email me. You go ahead and email me now, just tom@tomcruise.com. And then after that, I'll go ahead and give you a call, and then I'll just get your payment separately so I can handle that for you.
Perfect.
I'll hold you that spot too. No problem.
Thanks.
All right. Sorry, Anna, I'm about to call on you in 1 second. There's a few other questions. Jeff, NC Realtor. Yeah, Liraz, Jeff may be able to help you if you guys want to connect with each other. Andres, let me check to see if I got your email. No, Andre, I did not get your email. I resend it to tom@tomcruise.com, and then I'll check it again. I'll also check my spam for you too. I've got some other questions here. I do charge tenants application fees. I do charge $49 per application fee. If a tenant dies, this does happen. Tenants die all the time, depending on how many units you have, obviously. But it depends on the circumstance of their death. If they kill themselves, which happens, then you need to, the cops are going to come. There's going to be an investigation to make sure there's no foul play. And depending how they do it, it might take a while, from a hazmat perspective. If they just die of natural causes, it's normally family, will claim them. And then you have to get the property sterilized and you re-rent it. If someone gets killed there, like a murder, then you're out your property for, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks during the investigation and evidence and everything else. They won't let you even near the property. So tenants die, it happens a lot more than you expect, but that's life. After, I would say, 3 or 4 of them, you'll kind of get used to it. Can you get the Mr. Bigness? Thomas, sorry, there is no hookup, especially from Jack. Jack Bigness is another big investor here locally in North Carolina. He said, yeah, so we do increase rents 3 to 5%. It just depends. We look a lot at fair market rent, what they're figuring, what they're calling for in North Carolina for the rent. It varies every year, and then based on the zip code. Murder scenes. What happens if a tenant goes to jail or prison? This is a very interesting question. And this comes down to a few different things. So, story time. We had Andre. I just got your email. You're good. I'll give you guys a call after this. We had a guy in one of our Section 8 units. He was there. He'd been there for like 3 or 4 years, and it was time to do his inspection. We hadn't done an inspection in 6 months. We usually do an inspection every 6 months. So he was coming up for his inspection. So we had contacted him, no response. Finally, I had my property manager, actually my contractor, go to the house to go check on him, and like the back door was open. So he was like, hey, is anyone here? Nobody's there. And we reached out. We have these emergency contacts. We called the emergency contacts, and he'd been in jail since the last time we got inspected. And Section 8 had continued paying that entire time, 6 months. They had cut off utilities already, because Section 8 doesn't pay utilities. It's the tenant that pays utilities. So no one notified Section 8, and the tenant never notified us. No next of kin ever notified us. So yeah, I mean, the unit just went unoccupied. So that happens a lot. If you don't know, you can't do anything about it. Section 8 never knew, never asked us about it, never cared. So it depends on the situation, but it does happen. Do you get lifetime access to the course? Yes. Doesn't matter when you buy, you will always get lifetime access to the course. He never paid his portion in jail. His portion was very little. I think it was like $70. So we just continued letting it slide, trying to reach out to him. And for $70 on a $1,400 a month rent, we weren't even sweating it. I mean, we knew he would pay it eventually. Yeah, Jack's a character. Anna, go ahead if you still have a question. I saw you raise your hand. Do you have a question still? All right. Did you have to back pay for the months he wasn't living there? No, we didn't back pay anything on that unit. He did eventually notify them when he got back to the house, and I thought for sure they were going to ask us for something, a credit, or for not paying anymore in the future, but they continued paying. So we didn't ask and they didn't tell, so we were all good. No problem, Anna. Just raise your hand. All right. Are you ready to go now? Just let me know if you're ready to go. What happens if you find out your tenant is subletting? We'll just get rid of them. Just full stop. Well, it doesn't matter how much Section is paying. It's not worth it. If they are deciding to be enterprising and entrepreneurial by renting out other rooms in their unit without our permission, then we'll just kick them out. All right, Anna, go ahead again.
Hello? Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so I just have a quick question in regards to if you just if you just start going into the Section 8 off the bat. I know, to caveat to what the other guy was saying, or the question that he asked, or the question that you answered, is the property has to be approved, not like the person to be approved for Section 8, right?
Right.
Okay, so then we would get the property, and then we would start the paperwork to get the property approved for Section 8, and then find the tenant. I'm just
No,
trying to-
so the order of operation is you buy the property, you close on it, and then you market, either put it to Section 8, let them find you a tenant, or you go to Zillow or wherever you want to market it. The tenant comes to you, says, hey, I want to, buy your property, or I want to rent your property. And you're like, cool. You take their voucher, you submit it to Section 8, you go the back and forth on the negotiating of the rent. After that point, then they'll send out an inspector, and then they inspect the property and approve it. So there's a million steps that they're not going to waste an inspector's time until a tenant is approved, rent's negotiated, leases are signed before they ever go out there to do that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think that was really about it in regards to
Good question.
the processes and how it starts. And so,
Yeah, it only starts after you buy the house.
Oh, okay, sweet. Thank you so much.
Guys, we still do have one remaining slot left for the 2-hour free FaceTime. Everyone that I already mentioned, I've already accounted you for it for I'll give you guys a call afterwards to collect your payments. But if you want to get the free 2 hours, how do you get that? You go to right here, section8formula.com/5K. We only have one slot available. Everyone that's reached out to me has already been accounted for. Thomas, Andres, and one other person here. The property manager usually just charges 10% of the gross rents. You can't mortgage a. No, that's completely false, Donald. All my properties have mortgages on them for the most part. And they're all Section 8. Section 8 does not care if you have a lien on the property or not. Well, HOAs pushback, do they have the authority? HOAs have a lot of authority on a lot of stuff, but if it's not in their covenants and if you check prior, then you're good. I have sectioned a couple units in HOAs, and as long as the tenants are solid, you have very little to worry about. What percentage for maintenance of 10 plus units? We always figure 5% of gross rents. Does Section 8 require HVAC? Yes, definitely. All tenants are going to require HVAC, and legally, it also depends on the state that you're in. Like in Florida, like in North Carolina, for example, air conditioning is not legally required, but heating is. It gets very cold during the winter. Not very cold, but it gets cold enough to be a hypothermia situation, but they don't require you legally to have air conditioning here in the summer. Florida requires heating, but not AC. Exactly. So you become lifetime in the private group? Yes. Or no, sorry. In the private group, you get 12 months. In the pro Discord, you get lifetime access. So you do not get lifetime access in the private Section 8 course group. No. How do you feel about a bad storm taking away a year's worth of cash flow? That's never happened. Every storm that we've ever had that's bad, we've made money on because of insurance. That's another really important thing we discuss is getting the right insurance. You have to have replacement cost policies on these properties. If you get actual cash value on them, you're gonna have a bad time during a storm. Guys, we'll do another like 10 or 15 minutes of questions. We still have one slot available, has not been sold yet. If you guys want the 2-hour free call, that is still up for grabs. And then Andre and Thomas, I will call you after this. Actually, Andre, let me make sure. Yeah, Andre, send me your phone number so I can reach out to you to get your card number. And Thomas, send me your phone number too so I can get your phone number. So send me your phone number so I can get your so I can call you for the credit card details. Ron, I do see your slot, but I had already figured you into the numbers when you said you were going to take it. How is the Section 8 scene in Orlando? Like I mentioned earlier, it's very good. Yeah, it depends on how much higher. I mean, if you're able to get it 120 or 130, the rents are going to be usually be relative and commensurate with it. So on a 3-bedroom in Orlando, you're probably going to be in that $1,300 or $1,400. Anna, one more follow-up question. No problem. Go ahead. Daniel, just got your email. I will check on that after this webinar. One more.
Oh, okay. There
Go
we go. Sorry about that. I think
No
I hit something else. So, and to follow with that is what would be, I know that there's so many variables in this question but what's the rate that you should put or the percentage that should you put the Section 8 housing up at for the rent?
As far as the rental increase?
Yes.
So obviously I go for 5%. They're going to tell you. I mean, at that point, it's completely based on if there's been adjustments annually to the fair market rent that HUD has determined. And then on top of that, it's going to determine on the tenant and what they qualify for. So we discuss on how to negotiate that on an annual basis. You can only do it during what's called your recertification period with Section 8. And we talk about that as well, figuring out what that time is. It's very stupid because the recertification period is not on the anniversary of when they started their lease. So if they started on March 1st, you would expect their recertification to be the following March 1st. It's not. So coming up with that, seeing where you find that, that all plays into how you can negotiate that rental increase annually.
Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Do you increase a tenant's portion of rent annually, or it's just what Section 8 will pay? They do not increase that. The HUD fair market value is generally pretty accurate, and sometimes we're even getting above that. I'm not doing a ton of rehab, mostly cosmetic rehabs. Yeah. Do you increase the section? Yeah, we already talked about that. Will the monthly rent be determined by the price of the home, or is it set in stone? No, it's completely agnostic of the price of the home. It's all based on bedroom count and a few other factors. We go into deep detail that in the course on property selection. What's your goal amount of doors? I don't know. I've talked about having 500 doors. I've talked about having 1,000 doors. I'm just kind of going with the flow and buying as I find good deals and seeing where I land. Thomas, I still need your phone number, please. Thomas Alcardi.
Hey Tom, would you say the ideal number of beds and bathrooms would be like three bedroom, 2 baths for an ideal like maximizing your most profit for a Section 8? Or would you say like a 2-bedroom?
That's dependent on fair market value in that town. Bathrooms don't really matter. It's mostly about bedroom counts.
Okay.
So sorry, I just got your number, Thomas. And yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, it's 3-bedroom is ideal. 4-bedroom, if you can find one small enough, that's even better because you get paid more.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What's the minimum purchase price you've ever financed? Good question. It was actually that $55,000 deal that I talked about earlier. Let me see if I can show you that deal. 208 Gores Row. This was the deal. I can actually show you this back in the day. Look at this thing. This was the house that I bought. Here it goes, 55,000 bucks. Someone took a big hit on it, sold it a year later for 39 grand. Wait, no, that was mine. That is not accurate. When did we sell it? Here, I sold it for, what was the reason I sold this? Oh, I sold this as part of another portfolio. That's what it was. But yeah, I bought it back in, I think it was, this is not accurate data. I think I bought it in 16 or 15 for 55 grand. And this is what it looked like. This was the cheapest property that I bought for $55,000. And I had this rented at $1,300 per month. Nice little backyard. That's Gores Row. But yeah, and the bank that did that was State Employees Credit Union. We do not touch on wholesaling in the course. We do touch on wholesaling in the Discord, which you will get lifetime access to if you join the course today. Four-bedroom with small square footage is great, yes. What happens during the last government shutdown? We still got paid. There was no lapse in payment. I believe that's already earmarked for the future year or the current year. So when they shut it down last time, it didn't affect us at all. It's State Employees Credit Union. It's just a local credit union in North Carolina. They take mortgages on several houses with several different banks. Yes, we do. We do use different mortgages for different banks, or we do use different banks for different properties, because some properties, they're going to max you out on them. All right, guys. I'm not seeing any other questions here. There's no debt limit. Yeah, I mean, individual banks might cap you on how many units you buy with them to minimize their exposure, but all right. I will, I guess, just reserve that one last slot. If anyone wants that last slot, just email me, tom@tomcruise.com. Sal, it's NCSECU. Just look up NCSECU, North Carolina State Employees Credit Union. No problem, Sean. If anybody wants to take that last slot, feel free to email me, or just go ahead and buy it here and then email me that you're in the course, and I will honor that. And everybody will get their course logins after this. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to go through it and make sure everyone's is processed. There's 19 for me to go through. So, 5 to 20 minutes. Lisa, I'm glad that you guys got value out of it. That was my biggest concern, was not being able to provide enough value in such a short amount of time in a non-course format. I hate wasting people's time on bullshit, webinars. And I'm glad that I got that feedback. No problem, Sal. Thanks for joining. No problem. It's just you get directly the access that, or the value that you're going to get. It is what it is. No problem. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Yeah, I'll let you know if I come back to Lake Forest. They do have some great cars there. Thank you, Seth, for joining. I'll make sure you get access tonight. Awesome. I'll also will post this recording. I'm going to stop it right now, record it, and then try to post it probably tomorrow morning. It's going to take forever to upload on YouTube. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.